living within biblical boundaries. But having said that, it certainly is the most difficult life here on earth, because we're living for a master rather than living for ourselves. It means that we're coming to church. It means that we're serving. It means that we're sacrificing. There are so many things that take place being a Christian that makes it a very, very difficult life. But I believe it's this combination of both being serious but also of joyful. It is recorded in the history books of a saint, and this saint his name is unknown, and he was an individual that during the medieval times was brought to the stake, brought where there was a bonfire, and his life was soon to be taken. And he was simply asked the question, if you will renounce Jesus Christ as your Savior and the beliefs of being a Christian, then you can walk away. That's all you have to do. And this is what is recorded in history, and this is a true experience. This individual was tied up to the stake, and he was asked these questions. Who are you? And he answered, I am a Christian. They asked him, what trade do you have, and what trade do you follow? And he turned to him and said, I am a Christian. They inquired, what language do you speak? And he said, I am a Christian. The fourth question they asked is, what treasures do you have? And he replied, I am a Christian. They asked him the fifth question, and I'm not sure why of these questions, but said, what friends do you have? And he said, I am a Christian. And his life was taken. But this is what is recorded of this nameless martyr, this one who lived for Jesus Christ. This is what history says of this man. For all, and this is a quote, for all he was, and all he had, and all that he wished to be, and all that he hoped to be, were wrapped up in Jesus Christ. Let me read it again. Here's a person we don't even know his name. Here's a person that 5 questions were asked. And they just said, just renounce Jesus. Stop calling yourself a Christian and just go your way. We don't want to kill you. And 5 times, rather than giving him generic information about himself, the simple thing that he wanted to do was just to make sure they understood, I am a Christian. And this is what they wrote. For all that he was, and all that he had, and all that he wished to be, and all that he hoped to be, were wrapped up in Jesus Christ. Wouldn't you love that kind of a testimony? Wouldn't you love it that people say, who are you, what do you do, and all these different things, and say, we don't know much about your life, but we know you're one serious Christian. You're just one that loves the Master, and you're willing to pay any kind of price. Let me tell you of a person who, although I did not know him personally, he has very, very much affected my life, and he was a martyr just like the person that I'm talking about. His name was Abraham. Abraham was the first convert out of the Fulani to come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. A fellow named John Dahlman had the privilege of having worked 5-6 years, I forget the period of time, of working with this young Fulani Islamic young man in Cameroon, western part of Africa. And Abraham came to know Jesus Christ as his Savior. Now you need to know about the Fulani, and you can go back and look up in your computers about this. But the Fulani are the largest nomadic group of people in the world. In the year 2005, the encyclopedia said that there were 10 to 13 million people. The Fulani, and that's spelled Fulani, they were the first group in Western Africa to convert to Islam. And they were the group that have been greatly used to bring Islamic faith to the western part of Africa. And so when we started in the Baptist General Conference, and our church is a part of that group, when the Baptist General Conference started working with the Fulani, out of 13 million, we only knew of 8 believers. Can you imagine that percentage? And Ibrahim was the first one that we had worked with under John Dahlman, who was a water engineer, for that young man to come to know Christ. When Ibrahim, and he was about 25, 27 years of age, and he among the Fulani was a rising star. He had come out of this Islamic faith. He left that and became a Christian. Well, when this was found out by the Fulani leaders, they first of all called him to the city in which he lived and asked that he would leave being a Christian. And he said, no way. Now, I have come into this story that I'm telling you a number of years ago when I went to the site where he was buried, where Ibrahim was. What happened was that the Fulani Islamic people came and they said, Ibrahim, you need to leave this foolishness, you need to leave Christ, and you need to lead these ways, or you need to understand that you're going to have a life that's going to be very seriously hurt. And they threatened him, and this happened a number of times. They woke him up in the middle of the night and brought him into these interrogations. Finally, it got so bad, and because Ibrahim then just became sort of a poster boy. He was telling everybody about Jesus Christ. And here's a militant Muslim group that is known for spreading Islamic faith through the western part of. And everyone that he was meeting is saying, do you know what? I'm a Christian. I've become a Christian. I'm a new Christian. Can I tell you about Christ? And so he's being reported. So finally in the capital city of Cameroon, this place called Yaoundé, he was there called before the major tribal leaders of the Fulani. And there was my understanding was just thousands of dollars of the Cameroonian money and also gold coins. And the head of the Fulani pushed all this money to Ibrahim and said, all you have to do is to denounce Jesus Christ as your Savior. And we want it to be made known that you have denounced Christ. And he was going to become a millionaire, and that is no exaggeration. That's how important they saw this young man and how the impact that he was now making in reference to the Fulani. He was lighting a fire that they didn't know how to put out other than putting out his life. And he took all that money and he pushed it back. Because this story was told to John Dahlman, who told me personally. And he said, you can't give me the money in all the world that will make me denounce my Savior. And he started to tell them about Jesus Christ. And he said, I will under no circumstance ever renounce Jesus Christ. I am a Christian. He lived for a short while, and then I received a phone call when I worked in Chicago. And I flew purposely out to Cameroon and to meet with John Dahlman because he was totally broken. Because the life of Ibrahim was taken by the Fulani. Baptist General Conference registered an official complaint, not only with the police, but with the federal government, and absolutely nothing happened. Ibrahim was taken to the hospital, and there in delirium, as a delirious way, he went on to tell in this coma the things that happened to him, and I simply will not repeat them because it bothers me just to think of them. But he died in that hospital. He was just so bruised and battered and beaten up that his life was taken. I flew to Yaoundé. I went then in a small Piper Cub to